So I'm Mary Reusch, and I have been doing art for a long time in various ways. My first job in art was I was a florist, and I had my own flower shop, and then I decided I wanted to study art, so I became a graphic artist, and I worked in Grand Rapids in various places doing that, and then I decided to go back to school and have been doing fine art ever since. I'm also a mother and a grandmother, so I have been doing all those things right along with doing the other jobs that I've done. But in the last 20 years, 22 years since I graduated with my BFA, I started out doing a lot of plein air. So I would go to a site and I would paint, draw, do whatever I needed to do to capture an image. And in this show you would see that there's images that I captured while I was at an Indiana Dunes Lakeshore as an artist in residence. So that was very enjoyable, and I really had a good time doing all sorts of paintings and looking at beautiful spots. But then I more or less thought about doing more of capturing little places in the world, and such as my driveway or little places. I guess these are places from Grand Rapids where I caught a flagpole or something, and it was all supposed to be cemented away, but it had weeds growing up, weeds, and sometimes actually beautiful flowers that kind of grow up in between. And it struck me how one of the things that we do as a culture is we try to pack all these things away and have all these places that we don't have weeds, and they come up anyways. They just break through the earth, and I felt that it's a real persistence of nature that happens. So I did a whole set of paintings like this where they were painted of little vignettes, places that I saw where they weren't supposed to be there, but the weeds came through, and they came through beautifully. So that was one of the things that I did. In this, I actually designed the frames and covered them with copper and distressed them. So a lot of thought and work went into how I portrayed this and how I did this. So I have quite a few of these that I had done. A whole set of 16 was bought by the Art Museum here in town, and I still have more. And so that's one thing that I did. But after looking at the ground for a long time, I thought it might be really interesting to look at water. And water conveys a different thought, because with water in this one we have the stillness, maybe the depth, and we can think about the metaphors that have to do with water and what lays just on top, what lies below. Sometimes I capture, oh, there's a frog right there. So I capture a little bit of life that's sitting on a leaf or presenting itself, flowers, leaves, whatever it is. And sometimes we can even see the stem going down to the earth. But all those things I thought of as metaphors, and especially when we have maybe rushing water like we do at the creek. We live on a little spot of land that has a creek running through it, and I love sitting and watching how the water rushes over the stones, and I've done some amount of painting of those things. So I keep trying to look at vignettes, try to find what we don't normally look at in our lives, in our busy lives, and try to find something that I find meaningful to my life and that you might enjoy. These paintings are from California. I took a trip to California and was able to see areas like this. You kind of walked along the shore, and if it was low tide, you would find an area like this. And I was just fascinated because these are actually animals. and they're little live beings in here, and they're underneath the water, and when the tide goes out, then there's just a little bit of water left in these crevices for them to live. Now, I was also fascinated with the fact that this is very fragile life, and this, if there's too much pollution, there's not enough oxygen in the water for these plants to survive. Oh, not plants, these animals to survive, and so we're losing some of them. And so it's just one thing that we might not see a lot here in Michigan, or not at all actually. And I just find it really fascinating when you go to another area to be able to observe something beautiful and very different than what we have.